Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of our Ram 1500 HEMI review. Today is the day that we are finally behind the wheel of this 5.7 liter HEMI V8, and there is a lot to talk about when it comes to this engine and powertrain experience. So let's go ahead and get started. So in this test drive, we'll be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, we need to start with that acceleration to show you what this V8 sounds like.
All right. That was 60 miles an hour with the V6. I'm just kidding. That's the HEMI. I think you can probably tell that. No hiding it. So, of course, the big news for 2026 is Ram is bringing back the HEMI by popular demand. A lot of customers were very offended last year because the HEMI was discontinued completely. So they refreshed this model. They improved it in a lot of ways, but they took away the HEMI. They went to just a V6 engine on the low end, and then you had your inline 6-cylinder Hurricane engines on the upper end. And now we've got the HEMI as well. So they're giving you this additional option where for pretty much almost the entire trim lineup, you can choose to have this V8 if you want that traditional feel. And of course, you really do get that traditional HEMI V8 feel. You know, it's not all just about power figures, of course. You know, having a V8 is about the experience of having a V8. And for a lot of people, that's the expectation when we're talking about a truck like the Ram 1500.
Yeah. Now, as far as the horsepower figures, this is a 5.7 liter HEMI V8. It has the e-torque system, so it is a mild hybrid system. 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque. So those numbers are going to be pretty good for this truck. However, it's not as good as some of the other engine options that I will mention later on. So that's something to keep in mind. But before we kind of talk about some of those other engine options that Ram is giving you, I do want to point out this thing sounds so good. So when Ram brought back the V8, if you choose for the HEMI, you get the standard sport-tuned exhaust, and that means that you're going to have a really loud V8 experience. We've driven the HEMIs of past Ram trucks, and this certainly is a lot louder than the other ones that we had been in, and I think that's a good thing. It really just kind of amplifies that experience. Like Drew said, you know, truck buyers, they want the V8 feel, and certainly you will hear it as you press down the pedal. And one of the things that I'm liking is that, you know, when you get up to speed like 55 miles per hour, there's no drone or anything into the cabin. So you get that nice sound when you're accelerating, but then it nice and quiets down as well. Now, what are those other engine options? Well, you can see those on the screen right now with their horsepower figures. A couple things to point out is that between the top model, so the high output Hurricane engine that has 540 horsepower, this has 395 horsepower. So on this limited Longhorn, for example, you can select the HEMI V8 for no cost, but you are going to be paying about 145 less horsepower to get the V8.
Yeah, right. So on these upper end trims, you would normally have standard the high output Hurricane inline 6-cylinder, and like Mason is saying, that does have significantly more power. It is also more efficient as well. So, you know, if you're looking at it on paper, obviously that's going to be the choice. But I think what Ram has figured out is that a lot of customers, as I was saying earlier, they're not as concerned about what's on paper. It's about the experience overall, and they really miss the V8.
I miss the V8.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds so good. You know what they say, no replacement for displacement? And this thing, oh my gosh, it sounds fantastic.
And it's plenty of power anyways. You know, I guarantee you for most people that's definitely more than enough. But if you're a real power junkie, you'll still want to choose that Hurricane. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, we've got an 8-speed automatic, just like in our past Ram reviews. very nice and smooth. They've done a good job of tuning it. When you put your foot down, it can drop multiple gears very easily and is able to get you all that power that you want.
And now that we're turning out onto the highway, I want to take a second to talk about ride quality. Ride quality has always been a strong suit for the Ram truck brand, and certainly that will continue for 2026. Here on this limited Longhorn trim level, you have this standard air suspension. You can customize the height right there in this button, and that really just unlocks a next level of ride quality when it comes to a truck. So the competition, the F-150, the GMC Sierra, Chevy Silverado, none of those vehicles have an air suspension, and it shows because this vehicle really rides a lot better. It kind of gets out all of the truck-like vibrations that you typically would expect to find and just smooths it out and makes it feel like a luxury car experience. So I'm happy to report that for 2026, that remains the same. This is still one of the very best riding trucks out there, if not the best riding truck. Additionally, the massage seats are really good as well.
Now, as we mentioned, it does have a mild hybrid system, and that gives you auto start stop. It's very, very smooth. Honestly, you wouldn't really feel hardly anything. It's just audible because these sport exhaust,
yeah.
So you can definitely hear when the engine turns off and turns back on, but the feel of it is really quite phenomenal for a auto start stop system. But if that's not your jam, a lot of you guys probably wouldn't like it anyways, just turn it off with that button.
Yeah. And let's discuss fuel economy. So when it comes to the fuel economy department, there are a ton of different versions of this truck, a lot of different powertrain choices. The Hurricane engine is going to be coming in at $1521.17. You might think that the HEMI is going to cost you a ton when it comes to overall fuel economy. I'm happy to tell you that it really doesn't penalize you much, that's for sure. We don't have the official 2026 rating just yet. However, the 2024 model was rated at about 19 miles per gallon. So you're sitting at a very similar fuel economy figure, really regardless of what engine choice you select. So it's really almost down to your personal preference. Let's do our slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element about the Ram 1500. Drew, kick us off with the slam dunk.
Well, slam dunk's got to be the return of the HEMI. Like I said, people wanted it. The outcry was real, and Ram listened to customer feedback. So anytime a brand is very responsive to what the customers want, you have to applaud that. And I think more choice is always the right answer, just to let people choose what is best for their lifestyle.
Yeah, and I will say another 2026 edition, I know I haven't mentioned it up until this point yet, but is an increase of your powertrain warranty. So that extra peace of mind, I think, is very good. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Now, on the airball side, when it comes to the pricing of this HEMI V8, we wish that it wasn't such an additional cost on a lot of the trim levels. So it's about $1,200 extra if you have a standard output Hurricane engine as your standard engine option, or it's a no-cost option on the high output version. And we think that it should maybe be priced accordingly for its horsepower figures, because it is even less horsepower than the standard output Hurricane engine. And the fact that they're kind of making it price parity with the high output version with 540 horsepower is a little peculiar. I do get that you have that new exhaust system back there, and I think that's very nice as well, but I wish it was a little bit less expensive of an engine choice, because I think a lot of buyers will want it. And let's get a sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. I have us on fan speed 1. 55.3 decibels is what our sound level reading is in the 2026 Ram 1500 Limited Longhorn HEMI. And we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to some of its competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now that's a pretty good sound level reading. That's not going to be quite the quietest truck in the full-size segment. That being said, we are here in just outside of Detroit. We're close to their Chelsea Proving Ground area, and we look forward to getting this back home in Kentucky to get you that official sound level reading. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the quieter trucks out there, but the sport exhaust does make probably a little bit of noise, so if you want the quietest truck, maybe go for the Hurricane option. And guys, that wraps up part 2 of our Ram 1500 HEMI review. If you want to learn all about this truck other than just the driving experience, we do have a review on the channel already of this limited Longhorn, so be sure to... Now, if you want to learn all about this limited Longhorn on the outside, the inside, all the features that you're going to get on board, be sure to check out part 1 of the review where we discuss all of those details. You won't want to miss out. Also, if you're looking to buy a Ram 1500 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while negotiating. We even have a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to check all of that out, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate your continued support if you're a fan and subscriber, and if not, we'd love to welcome you in. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.